Congress is considering moving forward on many aspects of the Epstein probe, and that includes these questions around his death and the aftermath. There are reports about suspicious activities in the Trump DOJ overseen jail where Epstein was found. Congress now wants a key prison guard who was once indicted, Tova Knoll, and is considered the last person known to see Epstein, to have a private interview. Now, they asked her to come in as soon as tomorrow. We're now told the interview is postponed, but the panel wants to work with her attorney to get her testimony. All of this comes amid a bombshell report based on Epstein files documentation from the Miami Herald's Julie K. Brown and her team that revealed bags of documents which were suspiciously shredded and discarded out of the Epstein jail days after he died. This was so concerning that there were immediate tips and sort of watchdog warnings, including a corrections officer calling the FBI saying they'd never seen that amount of bags shredded. Days later, another officer wrote to investigators raising a similar alarm. Now, we've been tracking all this for you. We have our detailed timeline, which shows, of course, many different developments, but you can see it highlighted here the shredded document activity and a whistleblower alerting the FBI about it coming right there just days after he died. None of this, I want you to know, and we checked this, actually appears where it should in the DOJ's Watchdog Inspector General report. That is a problem for the DOJ because, as Brown's reporting shows, they interviewed people about this, they were on notice of it, and whether they deemed it a crime, a problem, or okay, it should have fallen somewhere in that voluminous report. I'm joined now by the reporter who broke the story, Julie K. Brown from the Miami Herald. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I want to get to the conspicuous absence of that information in what was supposed to be a watchdog report. But first, tell us what your reporting found and any developments since then, since you broke the story.
Well, these were documents. We really don't know exactly what they were, but they were documents that were being examined by what they call this rapid response or after incident team that was put together by the Bureau of Prisons. So these were Bureau of Prisons personnel. We later, in the wake of this report, found a list of the people that were on that particular action team that came into MCC and did presumably tried to gather evidence. But what we're hearing is what they were doing was compiling papers that they were putting into a shredder. In fact, one of the guards reported that an orderly told him that the orderly was asked to help shred the documents and then take those bags outside to a dumpster by the rear gate, where a corrections officer also noted that this was kind of strange. There were so many bags at the time. They had never, one of them commented that this was an amount that they had never seen dumped out there before.
Yeah. And so then you go to the DOJ has systems for this, and your reporting and the files, which we reviewed here ourselves, show those alarms I mentioned, the reporting of this in. Someone also wrote a judge about it. There was a concern that the problem was coming from within the government. So what do? Well, you're supposed to go to the independent watchdogs, and that's one of the ways. And so is it a problem that the Inspector General's office spent years looking at this? We know they interviewed people about it, so they were aware of it, and they didn't mention it at all in their report.
Yeah, they pretty much discounted it. And another reason why it's curious that they did discount it wasn't just the reports of the shredding. The Southern District of New York prosecutors had found evidence that there were things that were missing. They were missing all the inmate counts in the days up to Epstein's death. Now, we don't know. We only have what's in the file. It's possible they found these documents, but they were saying that they were missing documents. In fact, their response when they heard about this shredding was, can we go out to the dumpster and see what this stuff is? But unfortunately, they didn't act swiftly enough, so they couldn't do anything about it.
Let me just slow you down on that point because it's so important. You're referring to the fact that people who weren't on site, people at the SDNY U.S. Attorney's Office, viewers will remember that's a very independent a shop. Even in the first term, it was clashing with Trump over various things, that they said, wait, shredding bad, let's go get the material. And so what do you view as what's happening there when now we have the greater transparency than we ever normally get? I mean, you and I, on most cases, we never get internal U.S. attorney emails about gathering evidence. I'm curious, as an investigative reporter, what do you see happening there, that tension between the folks on the ground potentially doing a cover-up, evidence destruction, and then the U.S. Attorney's folks saying, wait, can we stop that?
Well, to the U.S. Attorney's Office credit, they created a file, a case number for this particular incident, and they did do some interviews on this. But the FBI conducted the interviews, and when you read the interview that was conducted of the orderly who allegedly was the first to report this, it's a very strange interview. They don't say to him, look, tell us what happened. They just give him yes and no questions. And you can tell he's very uncomfortable. In fact, it notes that one of the lieutenants who probably oversees him at the prison was present at this FBI interview. And he says at the end, look, I don't want any problems. I didn't see anything. I like my job here. And it's so very clear that the way that this whole thing was set up for this interview was to sort of make the problem go away.
Right. I think that's a clear inference. And that's why I mentioned that you see that in sort of a covering up of the cover up. They got caught to some degree shredding the docs, but they still, and this is what people get frustrated with government cover ups, seem to get out from under it. And then the inspector general says, well, if you mention this, it looks bad. So we're not going to mention it at all. That's Michael Horowitz, the current DOJ inspector general. Trump ousted many of them, but held on to him. People can make up their own mind what that implies. But it doesn't seem like it was a thorough, honest, independent report. It was also the report that minimized the so-called flash of orange that the FBI saw of a potential inmate on the loose the night before his death. Doesn't mean we know whether there's foul play. Could have been other problems. But I mentioned all that, and then the final question to you is, this corrections officer who was indicted but then the case dismissed, now Congress says maybe they want to learn more from her. She appears in your reporting as someone who was depositing multi-$1,000 cash deposits at a bank, was flagged 12 times for suspicious activity reports. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I just filed a story, actually, a new story about her. I dug into the files more about her, and she's actually a very interesting person. She is quite educated, and she comes from a very educated family. And she served in the U.S. Army Reserves, was in active duty in Kuwait, and then she came back after her assignment ended and decided to become a corrections officer. But again, when we're looking at these files, we see these things like her financial records and a notation that her bank had flagged some of the cash deposits in her checking accounts. So it raises questions about, okay, well, where was the cash coming from? Yeah,
has that been accounted for in any valid way?
I'm sorry?
Oh, has that been accounted for in a valid way? She puts $5,000 cash in.
Right.